Good afternoon. You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. You can also watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, WCEG Network. I am Celeste Giordano, your show host, along with my co-host, Sara Poe, with Global Legacy and Wealth Building, and you'll be with us for the next 2 hours. We're the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group, where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio, and at WCEG Network. Last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. And thank you, Penny Rogers, for this opportunity for us to have this show here today. And Sara and I are extremely excited that we have a special guest tonight, and Marcia Riner from California. And we had Marcia on the show, was it last month, Marcia?
I think it was 2 months ago, but yeah.
2 months ago, we had Marcia on the show. And Marcia is going to turn the tables on us today. And she is going to be the show host, and she's going to interview Sara Poe with Poe's Accounting Service, myself, Celeste Giordano with Celeste Giordano Coaching, and of course, our nonprofit, the Women of Community Impact. And we are so excited to have you with us today, Marcia. And we would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your business, and anything you have going on. I think you have some podcasts that you could share with us. We would love to know about you first before you interview Sara and I.
Oh, well, thank you, ladies. This is so exciting. My name is Marcia Riner. I'm a profit and business strategist with Trajectory Consulting, and I'm based out of California, but I work nationwide. And I work with small business owners to drive and grow their profits and lead their growth through strategic planning. So that's just a little bit about me. One other side note, which gives me a little bit of credibility to interview these two amazing ladies, is that I also do a podcast. And that podcast is called Profit with a Plan. It's posted every Tuesday on Weekly Matters. And we're talking about ways that small businesses and entrepreneurs can, again, grow their profits. So that's where I come from. But I've been doing a lot of interviewing lately, and the ladies reached out to me and gave me the honor to turn the tables, as Celeste said, and really, really grill the ladies and make sure that the listeners can finally hear what these ladies are about, because they have been showcasing so many other people. So thank you for this opportunity. And I'm so excited for the world to hear about you two. You know, you're so careful not to talk too much about yourself, but now we're going to open the kimono and we're going to talk about yourself in the most greatest highlights and ideas and stories that will endear listeners even more to you. So with that said, I think we're going to play a little bit here. We're going to go back and forth. It's not going to be a grill drive down interview on one of you, but I think a little bit on both of you. So if that's all right, we'll have a little fun. And if you can, chime in on Sara's story, Celeste, and Sara, if you want to chime in on Celeste's story, let's go ahead and have some fun, because that's what listeners want to hear, right? That's good conversation and authentic.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's get to the juicy stuff. Okay. So Sara, so tell me about Poe's Accounting Services. Give me a little highlight of what you do and why you're doing it.
Well, I like to help the small business owner succeed and grow. I got into this business in 2008 after a lot of people lost their jobs. And I just decided that now is a good time as ever to start my own business. In just a little backstory about being a CPA, my mother told me I was going to be a CPA. I told my mother I wasn't going to be a CPA. I was going to do everything but be a CPA. I actually went to college to become a criminal justice major. Well, as you can see, I'm a CPA. I should just listen to my mother and do as I'm told. But we had finance people always in our background. My grandfather was an accountant back then. They didn't have CPAs, and my father was in finance. So she just always pushed me that way. So I have to thank her for that, for doing that for me. And, sometimes we just need to be told what to do. But I started this business because I wanted it to be friendly. I wanted it to be relaxed. I wanted my clients to feel like they could come in here at any time. Some of them bring their dogs. We have dog treats. We've gotten busier and busier, so it's been a little bit harder for people just to stop in and see me or stop in and see Laura or Michelle. But we still like having that atmosphere, right? That they can do that at any time. Or if they come in and I'm busy, that they can talk to Laura and Michelle and let us know what is they're looking for. But I did the corporate America heels and shoes and hose and boots, and I just never wanted to do it again. It wasn't who I was. I was all about building relationships and enjoying the people.
I love it. Having that personal relationship and that open door policy really showcases the type of people that you want to work with. And I'm sure it's very endearing to them that they know that they can trust you and walk in with their, most vital information, and you're going to make heads out of it, right? You're going to put it all together in the right place. So talk to me a little bit about your team. You mentioned that it's yourself and the two girls, right?
That's correct. We're all women. Michelle is my daughter-in-law. She's the first person you see when you come in. If you've ever heard of gatekeepers, she's one of the best. She keeps us organized. She keeps us on track. She's doing our social media. She's taking on new responsibilities, which has been nice. And I also afford her to be able to, she's got 3 kids, 2 of them in high school, 1 in college. So I afford her the time to be able to go with the kids and do what needs to be done. 2 of the girls travel softball, so she doesn't work on Friday. So it's been a win-win relationship for the 2 of us in that regard. Laura is my sister. I'm the oldest, the best, and she's the youngest and the loudest. But she does some bookkeeping and keeping the taxes flowing and phone calls going and things like that. And her and I have worked together on and off for 10 years.
Wow.
She went full-time 3.5 years ago. But we have a great relationship with all 3 of us. One of the first things I said was, you're going to have times when you're going to get mad. You just got to tell me and we got to get over it. Move on. Mm-hmm. Because being family, that happens. But I trust them. And to me, that was the number one thing. I had to have somebody in here I could trust.
I love it. I love it. So give me in a short couple of sentences, what is the service that you provide? You mentioned small business owners and so on, but I know it's a lot more than that. What is it that you really provide your customers?
I try to provide my clients a way to grow and to one day not need me, but have their own from start to finish, from the day you pick the entity to names, EIN numbers, Department of Labor and Revenue numbers, all the way up to your bookkeeping, to your payroll, to your sales tax, to your estimated payments, to your taxes. We are a one-shop stop. We can do it all for you. We actually do AR and AP for some of our clients. We've helped with social media for some of our clients. But a small guy can come in here and say, I need your help, and we can get him set up and get him done.
Like it. So nice. And I think that's what small business owners really need to have, is that trusted advisor like that knows and has your back. So excellent. All right, Sara. So let's turn over to Celeste. So Celeste, tell us again, like Sara, tell us about your business and really why you're here.
My business is Celeste Giordano Consulting, and I started this business 7 years ago, and I started it after I retired from spending 35 years in direct sales as a franchise owner with a home maintenance cleaning system. Had 2 franchises, one up in Greenville, South Carolina, and one in Atlanta. And it was just time for me to retire, but I wasn't ready to retire permanently. And I have a dear friend that her husband worked with my husband in the airline industry, and they were in the military together. And Renee said, Celeste, you should be a business coach. And I said, what's a business coach? And so she was a person that worked with some very high level gurus and traveled with some of them. Some of them live over in Paris now and run their business out of Paris. And some of them started in South Carolina. They're in North Carolina now. But I started following some of these people, and I did my due diligence for about a year before I retired. And then when I retired, I birthed Celeste Giordano Coaching, which is also consulting business. And I did this out of passion for helping and serving people. And my direct selling career as a franchise owner, we brought people into the business. Back in those days, we recruited, trained, developed, and promoted people. And today, we don't really use recruit. We use the word mentor. You mentor, you train, you develop, and you promote people. And I took that training and put it in the coaching and consulting business. And what I've found out after visiting some of these gurus over a course of a year, that a lot of them didn't teach sales. And so that's what excited me the most, was to go in there and help people take a passion, because a lot of people this was their second career. They retired from corporate America, or they retired from education and teaching, and they had a passion, but they had no idea how to sell anything. And they were hiring coaches, and they were no better off 6 months or a year later because they didn't know how to sell their business and market their business. And so that became my niche, because that's what I spent 35 years doing, was recruiting, training, developing, promoting people. And when you start a business, do we not do that as well?
So true. And such an essential part of every business owner is to have those sales skills. So tell me about your team and your business structure. Is it just you? Do you have a group? What's the structure?
You know, I have always had a team from day one when I started Marcia. I've always had a business manager. I have a social media person. I have two of them. I also have a copywriter. I have an entire team. You know, it's not Celeste Giordano Consulting myself. It is an entire team. And it's because of that team of where I am at today. It's not because of me. It's because of the team, because two hands make more noise than one. And in running a business, you have to hire people that's their expertise. That's one of my things that I teach with my people, is do the things you're best at and delegate the rest. And I've always done that. And you know what? And it's not easy to do that in the beginning, because you're counting the pennies or the dollars or whatever. And it's hard to do that, but you just have to understand what you need to make your business succeed. And then you have to go to work to do that, so you can have that team do everything around you. So you do what's best, which is having conversations, networking, and building relationships, and selling your product or service, because nobody can do that better than you.
So true. So true. We all need help in every single way going forward. So now, listeners, that you've got a little bit of a taste of what Sara and Celeste do, I think we'll get into some ideas or stories or examples that the ladies have, so they can showcase what they're doing. So Sara, one of the things that I always say on my podcast and to my listeners and to my folks is that you should never, ever, ever, and I mean never, ever, ever, do your own accounting, right? And so that is something that absolutely needs to be done by a professional. And there are so many tricks and easy ways to get it done well. So do you have any ideas or tricks or strategies that you use with your customers to make their accounting simple and easy in their business?
Well, first off, I ask them questions and they look at me like, why does she want to know that? I ask them, so what major events have happened this year in your life? Or what do you see in the next 2 years? Because I can't do any tax planning or anything until I know the overall picture, right? What are we working towards? Because in a business, we may be going to have $1 million sale next year and it's not going to be on the books this year. So we may not want to take all of our bonus depreciation, right? So we need to have those answers ahead of time so that we can plan out accordingly. Just like a small business owner, he needs 2 years of financials to buy a house. So we need to plan that out 2 years in advance of what we're going to do and how we're going to handle that. So I ask questions that they just think are ludicrous, but it always helps. I'll give you one example. I was with a couple and the husband goes, "Oh, I wish we could write off those wigs." I said, "Well, why do you wear wigs?" She had a skin disease and all the hair on her body fell off. So she had no hair in her head. So I said, "Will your doctor write you a prescription for wigs?" And they got me the prescription and we wrote off the wigs. But if we hadn't been having that conversation, that never would have happened. So it's trying to find out the big picture of their lives and how to.
And I think that is incredibly unusual in the accounting world from my experiences. Accountants tend to be backward facing or rear view. This is what happened this year, so this is how we can handle it. But you have a very positive view on things that you want to start planning for the future and go after opportunities that are coming down the way. And the only way you can do that is by getting to know them and asking those strange questions that you're asking, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So considering that forward facing and planning, because I'm all about the planning with my business and my strategies. How do you get the customer to come in and talk to you about these things before they make those decisions?
Well, typically they have one bad experience and it never happens again. Let's just say they decide to take money out of their 401k. Well, they don't realize the penalties that are going to go with that and all the additional taxes. Well, they just paid $35,000 because they didn't ask the questions ahead of time. Going forward, they'll call you, make an appointment, sit down, and go through those things. Or they'll sell a vacation home and now have $200,000 in additional income that they weren't planning on. So they have one bad instance typically, or I give them an example of somebody without telling names or anything like that, saying, "This is why it's so important to talk to me." We can do it by Zoom, we can do it by phone. There's so many ways now to have those conversations. Don't let it just go by. Take the time and do it.
Great. Thank you for that. Those are some really good ideas. So Celeste, when you're working with the business owner or the franchisee or the team that's trying to really make a difference in it, what are some of the tips and strategies that you recommend right in the beginning to make sure that success happens quicker rather than later?
Well, one thing, Marcia, is in the very beginning when I started my consulting business, I invested in myself and hired a marketing firm and came up with a signature talk, signature workshops. And what we did is I started doing workshops in the very beginning. And in the beginning, Sarah and I go back to networking back in 2013, 14, somewhere around there. We went back to that. And she was a CPA. So some of the business operating strategies, one of the first things in my workshop is that you have to have a relationship with an accountant, an attorney, with a banker, a financial advisor, an insurance agent, social media manager, business manager. And I'm a firm believer right away, and this is why Sarah and I do a lot of workshops together, is the first thing you want to do, as you said, as you started, is you need to have a CPA or a bookkeeper in your corner. I don't care if you're making 50 cents profit or you're making $5,000 profit. You need to have a CPA and you need to have a relationship because you don't want to have to need them, under an emergency situation. The same thing with an attorney. Don't wait till you need an attorney, because I promise you, you're going to need an attorney in your business. And it's better to have that relationship instead of asking people, do you know an attorney that I can reach? Or, maybe you've done something, that you didn't know. I'll give you a good example. When I first started, I didn't know anything about pictures off of the internet. I thought that if you Googled a picture and they gave you a picture, you could use that picture. Well, guess what?
Oops.
You can't. No, you can't. And I got a letter. But that's okay, because I've had an attorney from day one. My CPA has been with me for 40 plus years. Attorney has been with me 30 plus years. I've always had those relationships. And so that's one of the things as a business owner. Are you a hobby owner or a business owner? Because if you're a business owner, you need to have these people and these relationships. And so the biggest thing is to have those relationships, like what I call the 5 wise men, 5 wise women, whatever you want to call them. You need to have them in your back corner, because you're going to need them at some point.
So with that said, how does Celeste Giordano Consulting and Coaching support and be one of those wise women?
Well, how I'm one of those wise women for them is when you invest in yourself, because everybody that's very, very successful is invested in a coach. I'm sure that, I know you, Marcia, and we're both members of eWomen, and I don't mind, we can say that. And you invest in yourself. You pay big money to be a part of eWomen and to be educated and trained. And I'm sure you have other coaches as well. We all invest in ourselves. And one thing that what I noticed when I started was, back in the day, those coaches were only giving you 15 or 30 minutes twice a month. And you were paying a lot of money for this. And that's all the time you got. And I had a hard time with that. And I wasn't a rebel intentionally. It was just my passion was about helping people. And I just didn't see how you could really help somebody for an hour a month or 30 minutes a month. So my program included that you got a weekly call with me once a week, because I believe, based off of lead generation, building relationships, and accountability, the accountability part on a weekly basis would never allow you to have a bad month. You can have a bad day, you can have a bad week, but you can never have a bad month when you're being held accountable on a weekly basis.
I love it. So you're that person that they're going to make sure keeps them in line and on track. And there's nothing worse than a scatterbrained business person just reacting through business rather than having a plan and accountability and making sure that their numbers are in line. So these are really super valuable points to being a successful business owner, which is really truly what we're talking about here with these two ladies being super successful, being great partners in your business, and being one of those top 5 in your relationship pool, right, Celeste?
Absolutely, Marcia, because, the other thing, talking about knowing your numbers, people that have created a business entrepreneurship or even a corporation or a company, and they just started this, a lot of them aren't used to tracking their numbers, and they don't know a lot about sales. And, if you're not being held accountable to those numbers on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, what happens is, next thing you know, in 30, 60, 90 days, a lot of these people are out of money, and they had no accountability, and they had a great idea or a great passion. So it's very important where the accountability comes in, and the lead generation and tracking your numbers and the sales part, because if we don't make sales, we can't keep our doors open. And a lot of those people that don't have those relationships and don't know that, they just think of all this money they invested in this, and they're no better off today than they were, 90 days ago, except they lost all their money. And so it's important to invest in the right people, do your due diligence, because my coaching is not one size fits all. It's not a cookie cutter coaching business. It's an individual. And so everything is done individually with individual clients that come in, and we create a program that's best for you.
Love that. And numbers and guidance, because I'm super passionate about what you've said, because if you don't know where your numbers are, and you don't know what you're doing day to day, then how are you going to know whether you're on track to meet the goals you put in place for yourself? And so, Celeste, I know you have a system you use that kind of reverse engineers the numbers that you have to achieve your goals. And if you don't mind sharing that with us briefly before we go back over to Sara, because I've got a numbers question for her too.
Absolutely. Marcia, you know, in the direct selling industry I was in, you know, we always had the top salespeople, the top managers, the top recruiters and trainers, the top branch offices, because we were very serious about education and knowledge. Knowledge is power, and you have to educate, motivate, and stimulate people on a daily basis. And you have to know your numbers. And so I took that systems and processes from those days and put it into my consulting business. And what I found out was the very first time I did a workshop, I had this young lady by the name of Kim. She's an NLP practitioner. And so the light bulb came on when I explained to her that you focus on the leads, not the money. Because people get up as business entrepreneurs, as I said earlier, oh, I need to make $1,000, or I need to make $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is. And that just consumes them. And then they forget about the system and the process that gets them that money. And so I did this workshop, and just to highlight it is you have to know your lead generation. You have to know how many leads you need daily and weekly. Those leads create appointments. Those appointments create complementary sales calls. Those complementary sales calls create sales, and the sales creates the money. And when I did this program for them in a workshop, Kim went out and she tracked her numbers for lead generation. She set up the appointments, the sales calls. In 1 week, she sold $10,000 worth of NLP classes just off of that one program process right there. And she's just one of many that did it.
When I heard that, when we had spoke together months back, I was like, yes, the simplicity of just saying you want X and you have to do the steps to get to X. And it's just a numbers game. And so many people, so many business owners forget that piece, and they just fly by the seat of their pants. So I'm glad you shared that with us today. All right. So Sara, on the numbers basis, right? Celeste is talking about how to make more money with her numbers by having more sales and more conversations and more leads. Let's talk about numbers when we're talking about our financial side of our business. It's so important to have these. What are some of the ideas that you consult with your clients with when you're talking about their income and their spending and the taxes that they have?
Well, we typically, so we do their bookkeeping, or they do their bookkeeping. And then we look at, you know, that month's financial statements, their P&L and their balance sheet, and we see how things are doing. Then we do comparisons month over month, year over year, to see where they're at and see where they're hemorrhaging money, or where they could do a better job. Maybe not go to Starbucks 3 times a day. You know, and I tell people this all the time, if you track how much you eat out, you'd be shocked.
Right? That
Yes.
is the craziest thing that people forget all about with. Yes, it's a very expensive. And when they look at their credit card statement 6 months down the line, they're still paying interest on the dinner they had, you know, 6
Correct.
months ago. So crazy. Okay.
So we look at some of those areas that I know instinctively from doing this for so many years, where the big ones are, right? Payroll, overhead, rent, meals, subcontractors. You know, we have to look at all those areas to see how we can bring our costs back in line. Different industries have different percentages, so you need to know that. And you need to have an honest conversation. You know, do we need to do a cash forecast? Do we need to know where that money's coming from, how you're spending it? Look out 6-8 months to see how that money, you know, during the pandemic, that was the first thing I did for my clients. You know, make sure their financials were up to date so we could get whatever money they needed, and then to look to see how much money they were going to get, how much business they thought they were going to have, and how long they could survive. Nice. And if you didn't have all that ready, you were way behind the curve already. You couldn't get PPP, you couldn't get the EIDL. There were so many options out there that you could get that you couldn't provide, you couldn't get it. If you were an S Corp owner and you weren't paying yourself a salary, well, you just threw unemployment down the drain because you weren't doing the proper procedures. So it's, again, you need to look monthly, yearly, in a couple years to see how things are flowing, to see where you've gone a little bit off course, because we all do. It's just human nature, and to get that back on track and to keep your spending in track. And then we need to look at to see how we can help you by year end. And, do you need to go buy a vehicle? Is it time for all new computers? New software, whatever reason is that you can have some write-offs for that.
Love it. And it's just thinking about it. If you don't know where you are financially, how do you know where you're going to go in the future if you can't track your numbers financially and understand what those moving pieces are? And it really isn't hard. I know a lot of people hate the word budget. They think of it as a diet, right? Oh, they can't have, it's a hand slap and these kind of things. What are your thoughts on a budget?
I love budgets. They're a guideline. It gives, again, it's easy. You're finding ways that you're straying quicker with a budget than some of the other ways, like comparative year over year, those type of things. But I love budgets. It's a guideline. Just like a diet, I see that as a guideline. Today's a cheat day. I'm going for it, right? The budget, you can just see where you're spending it. A lot of people have been working from home for 8 to 9 months. Certain things in their home, cost-wise, have gone up. They need to be able to understand that and why. What is their employer helping them with that? Are they got any accountability plans? Are they reimbursing them for that? They need to have the numbers to prove that to their employer. So there's reasons why all of that is good to have a budget.
Love it. Yeah. I like to think that a budget is simply a reflection of what you've spent in the past and a forecast on what you're going to spend in the future. So it's not restrictive. It's just laying it out. And it's probably the biggest eye opener my clients get to see when we lay out that budget for them and they're like, oh, really? Okay, I didn't realize. And you can't make changes on what you don't know, correct?
Correct. Like before the pandemic, entertainment was a huge percentage of people's budgets. That goes out to eating, movies, all different concerts. Right now, we don't have those. So they're not spending as much. But if they would compare before the pandemic and now, they would be shocked.
Yeah. Oh, with the eye opener. Of really, truly how much they spend. So here in Southern California, we tend to wear our wealth on our sleeves and on our car and on our watches and in our house. We're in the world of pretend. I like to say that there's a whole bunch of $50,000 millionaires out there because they pretend so much. But I'm sure it's not always like that and elsewhere in the country. So it's an interesting thing. But all right, so let's talk a little bit. You brought up, Sara, the impact of COVID on our financial numbers, how our entertainment expenses have changed. You also brought up the fact that maybe if you've got employees or you are an employee, your heating and air conditioning has gone up and your utilities have gone up because you're at home 24/7. And what kind of solutions could you recommend to listeners that they can implement into their business or into their financial life that can help improve things?
Well, so I'm the owner of my company, and 2 of my girls, they worked from home during that time. So we looked at what they were spending their money on now. If they needed supplies and things like that, I could get that to them, go put it on their porch, that sort of thing. But they spent more on internet, they spent like heating and air, more food at home. So we look at those expenses before and after. Maybe I need to reimburse them for that, as an accountability plan. Or there's a code section in the IRS that it gave us the ability to do that during this time without them being taxed for that.
Nice.
So those are things that as a business owner, you could do for your employees. I know most people, it was overnight that they had to go work. Well, a lot of these people didn't have offices set up at home. They weren't prepared for that. So maybe you give them an extra $100 a month or a couple $100 in the beginning, and then an extra 100 during the month to help cover cost. That can be reimbursable. If your employer's not doing that, you need to show them by way of a budget or financial statements how much more it's costing you. Because now your husband and you are both at home, and 2 kids are homeschool now, and you're on Zoom, which 15 minutes, all the time. So you need to prove this to your employer so that they can see what you're talking about. Because I bet you 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, oh, we didn't realize. Here, let's see what we can do to help you with that.
Exactly. And so even little things of buying the equipment, you needed a desk to put in your bedroom so you could work because everybody else is running around the house. Or
Right.
you needed a printer, or you needed to upgrade your internet service to handle everybody drawing against it. So yeah, those are really wonderful ideas. And those as a business owner can be deductible, correct?
Yes, I can deduct those as a business owner because I have W-2 employees. Now, if they were self-employed, then they could deduct it on their tax return as a home office deduction, right? So it depends the type of, if you're a sub or a W-2.
Gotcha. And the old home office, you need to have a door outside kind of thing no longer applies, right?
No. What I tell people is you go set up your home office, take a picture. So if the IRS ever wants to see, it's beautiful, hasn't been worked in yet, take your picture and then start your work.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and now with the home office, there's a standard deduction. So you don't have to get all that other information together. And 9 times out of 10, the standard is higher than if you worked up all the numbers.
That's a good point. Yeah, you go through all the hoops of burning fire and you produce every record for it. You put it all out there, and at the end of the calculation, it goes, oh, you should just take the standard deduction.
Right. Now, and a lot of people, they pay all their bills online, so it's just a matter of pressing a button and they've got their numbers, right?
Excellent.
So it's a lot easier than it used to be for that. But and I always tell people that first year, I want to see it both ways, because I want to see what all is touching that house that we can deduct as opposed to just standard, because you don't know in the beginning until you work with it.
Until you get in there. Excellent. Those are great tips. And I think every listener can still focus on it. And it's November, so you still have time to make any changes that you have or look back at what you've done. So I encourage listeners to really get with Sara and talk about your accounting and your bookkeeping and your numbers, so you're not leaving any money on the table this year. This is going to be an unusual year, and you're going to need more help than ever. So definitely reach out to Sara and get some help on that. So Celeste, how has COVID affected your business and your clients?
That's a very good question, Marcia. It affected networking in person. And there's nothing like building relationships by building these relationships in person and attending networking events. We all of a sudden went to attending many networking events a week and a month to going to Zoom. And I remember when the COVID hit in March, I was traveling to Cincinnati to be a guest speaker for a lunch and learn in Cincinnati and planning to speak in person. And when I get there the day before the event, the COVID had happened, and they said, Celeste, what do you think about doing Zoom? I said, I've never done Zoom, but I'm game, let's do it. And so now, we have gone to Zoom. So I think that's affected a lot of people. But again, you have to work smart, and we have a business coach that's in your corner to help you, because we all got burnt out with Zoom. And how are you making the best of your Zoom events? And, it's great to pay to go to some of these Zoom events and have opportunities to have breakout sessions and meet people. But what are you doing to follow up with these? It's not like the same thing as meeting these people in person. So you may have to follow up with several phone calls before you really get into a sales conversation, with these people. Or they may not even be interested in you, because I think a lot of people went to these Zoom calls where it was all about, they were in crisis mode, want to talk about themselves and sell themselves when they weren't building relationships. And so it was a pretty awkward thing. But one of the biggest things that I recommended is create your own Zoom events. And you be the host and create a workshop and do it via Zoom. Instead of doing the workshops in person, we're going to do them via Zoom. So a lot of my clients that we have, a lot of times we pair up together, or we do two of us, or there's three of us, that we'll create an event together. So we created some events and then built the confidence up in them to create their own events. And so that was a great opportunity for them to create Zoom events and have call to actions. And some people, I encourage people to be a part of a networking group. Be a director or a president or whatever they want to call it. Run a networking event. That's the best way to build some relationships and have some credibility. So those are some of the things that we did as far as the lead generation. Again, follow through.
And I think, let me interrupt you for a quick second on here. I think this is the piece that maybe needs to be pulled out a little more. The whole idea that you're talking about with networking and building relationships, the ultimate goal is more sales, correct? It's your lead generation. And you just said that. It's like, yes, that's why these networking and this webinar and Zoom and meeting people is you still need to have sales calls. And these are ways to build those up, correct?
Absolutely. And so what we also did is you have a gold mine just in your current list. And so with my clients, I said, we're going to maintain our current list. So I recommended that they, pick up the phone call, do 10 phone calls a day, do 3 business calls, 3 personal calls, and then randomly pick 4 of them off the social media that you see somebody that, because people were very vocal about depression or negative or lacking motivation, things that they lack. I said, pick the phone up and be that person to motivate them and have a conversation and be caring. So we did that, and then sending cards, writing, cards to your clients, just checking in. I had some clients that didn't do any kind of blogs or newsletters, started a blog or newsletter they did. And it's amazing some of the stories, especially some of my direct sellers, by creating a blog, how it increased her bottom line of her customer volume monthly just off of a blog.
Yeah, that's so important, because you're at home more often and you're on the computer more often. Chances are your customers or prospects are on the computer more often. So why not find a way to communicate with them more and be more visible in front of them? I love those ideas.
Absolutely. So, I'm sorry. I just want to say one more thing, Marcia, is in this COVID, even without the COVID, we have a lot of people that deal with depression and deal with, not being able to control their attitude. And I have this thing that with all my clients, you make your living with your attitude. You can't afford to have one bad minute or hour of a negative attitude. And so it's very important, by being that caring person, what did that make that person do? It controlled their attitude on a daily basis by helping and serving other people.
I love that. And if you're lonely and sitting at home all by yourself, or just you and your immediate family, chances are the people you're talking to are feeling the same way, and maybe they want to talk to somebody different too.
Different, absolutely.
So, like that a lot. That really warms my heart on that, because we're all. I'm a very big extrovert, and I want to hug people and talk to people, and being stuck at home or more frequently at home and not out in the circles I have been, has been a real challenge. And I'm sure it's been a real challenge for all the listeners as well out there. So what a good idea. By reaching out for your own need, you're reaching out to someone who has the same need, and you're now bonding and connecting. And all relationships deepen when you reach out. And
Well,
so I love that.
what it also did, Marcia, is it allowed them to have conversations that maybe, somebody reached out to, let's say I have a travel agent. The travel agent reached out to somebody, and even though how the travel industry came to a complete halt, I mean, I had a travel agent that within the first 60 days of the year had over $100,000 in sales, and then COVID hit. So, by her reaching out, all of a sudden now people, she got to talk a little bit more about travel, educate them about what's going on in the travel industry and where we're at, what was happening, because she was up to date on all that. And next thing you know, she was building relationships with people that she would have never had that opportunity to build that relationship with. And then now people have booked trips for next year or later this year or whatever. People were booking trips with her to do things locally in the United States just because she reached out to them.
Love that. I too have a travel friend who started to do Sunday night once a month. She would show her travel films and give narratives about the places that she's visited. And what that did is it gave someone a chance to kind of travel off world, but it also made her the expert in that area, and she's sprinkling dreams on them so when they're ready to go again. So I love the idea. It makes complete sense that we have to do things differently. So let's talk about that briefly. We've got another few minutes to talk about you guys before we go on to your charity. But what have you done, Sara, to pivot, or what I like to say, enhance our new business model, because it is now the new normal?
Well, and this was Celeste's idea. I want to give her credit for this because she has lots of great ideas. Sometimes she has to hit me about the head, but
as long as she doesn't leave any bruises, you're okay.
Right, so I'm doing more and more Zoom, and a lot of my clients are older, and they just, I don't want to do this. I can't do it. I don't have my grandkids here to help me. And so she gave me the idea of having to invite them into a Zoom call to teach them how to do Zoom, how to set it up, how to get the free version. Then they can check in on their grandkids or their parents or whatever those circumstances might be. But I'm offering that to them as a free incentive to learn how to do it. And that's coming up later this month. And I've been pleasantly surprised of the responses about how people, wow, you're going to do this for free? You're going to teach me? They've been very happy that, because most of the time, 9 times out of 10, these people really want to know how to do it. They just don't have anybody to show them.
Right. What a nice value add, though. And you're endearing them to you because you did something to help them.
Right. And then, also in this new time, everything goes through portals. Everything's got to be encrypted. Everything, you can't just email me stuff anymore. I can't just email you stuff anymore. It's too easy to be stolen out of the network airways, whatever you want to call that. So because of this idea, the 1st of December, I'm going to teach a class on how to use the portal, because I get every year, I don't know how to do this. Just email it to me. And every year I have to go to them and explain to them, I'm not allowed to do that. Right. So, and then this way they'll have their tax return for whatever reason they may need it. It seemed like everybody got a refi this year and needed their tax return again. So this way it'd be there in the portal for them to use, and they can give it to whoever they please. And they don't have to come through me. So because of her idea, I'm going to expand on that.
I love it. So safety, security, flexibility. It sounds like you're really evolving your business to be more online friendly.
Yes.
Can I say a few things about that, Sara? When Sara and I were having this conversation again, we have weekly conversations. We meet for breakfast and things of this nature. And we didn't know a month ago where COVID was going to be, and tax season was right around the corner. And so this is where I told Sara, I said, she likes to have, well, we implemented many years ago about having conversations with her clients in the months of November and December, because we also implemented renewal contracts with them, correct, Sarah? Where we implemented that. So, now it's fresh in their mind, not only the value throughout the year, but in the last 2 months, the extra value that you're giving to your clients. And so I said, we don't know if we're gonna go into lockdown with winter or whatever, and you have a lot of older clients and people that have brick and mortar businesses that maybe don't know how to use Zoom or something along that nature. So this is something of value that you can offer to them, and we have an expert person, and I don't mind saying her name, Shannon Donasay, with 5-star social media. And I said, hire Shannon, to teach your clients and send an email out to them and offer the service to them, and do it 2 different times and do it twice, do it in November and do it in December. So now when you send those renewal contracts out, what are they going to remember? The value, the extra value that you're doing for them throughout the year, and why wouldn't I want to renew my contract? So it's been a win-win situation. But we just sometimes you hear that saying, we can't see the forest for the trees, and this is what having a business coach does for you. Sometimes it's not that something's magical. It's just you're visionary, and you can help people see things that they already knew. And then look at Sarah, she exponentially increased it through teaching security now, right, Sarah?
Yeah. I think that's a great idea, because you're also preparing your customers for next year's tax season. So we all know that your life, Sarah, goes, underground and under buried paper and all this crazy stuff. But in reality, the future of taxes and financial strategies and your accounting is all done electronically. So if you can teach them how to use the tools, it's going to make your life easier. It's going to be cost savings, because you're not scanning and replicating data, and you're not doing all these crazy things. You're truly, by giving them this education and value, is you're training your customers how to make better decisions financially and safely secure their financials. So hands off to you, or hats off to you. I think that was a fabulous idea, ladies. And what a great way to enhance and pivot. All right, so Celeste, how have you enhanced or pivoted your business since COVID hit?
I've really pretty much stayed the course, Marcia. Nothing's really changed with me, other than the fact that I think that I have more conversations on a daily basis with my clients. It's not just once a week that we have a call, and that pick the phone up and touch base with them. And we have an open door policy. You have some coaches that you get 4 emergency phone calls or whatever, my clients can pick the phone up and call me anytime. And then whether or not, if it goes in the voicemail, I will get back to them. I do have boundaries with them, but that doesn't mean that the only time they can talk to me is once a week at Monday at 10 o'clock. So anyways, I've stayed the course with that. And one of the things is trying to be a guest as often as I can on a networking, on a Zoom call, or creating a workshop myself. That is the biggest thing that I think that I have done for myself and for my team, is you have to be seen. And if you're not seen, then you're pretty much dead in the water. So you want to find a way that you're being seen, and I want to thank you very much. During the COVID, you had me as a guest on your podcast. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful for Penny Rogers with WCEG Network and the whole team for coming to us and offering this platform to me, and bringing Sarah on. It's just another opportunity to be seen out there. So those are some of the things that we have done, and that my team is the biggest thing. I'm just grateful for my team. They do everything that needs to get done. They're very proactive. They know me, and retention's a huge thing. When you have team members that have been with you 3 years, 5 years, almost as long as you've been out there, that's huge, because you get to know each other. And
Exactly.
I'm very strong in building those relationships. I'm not one of these people like, as I said, my CPA has been my CPA for 40 years. My attorney has been my attorney for 30 years. I'm not one to jump around. I like to build that relationship, nurture that relationship, and keep that relationship. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes too, but that's huge.
No, and it sounds like everything that you live what you teach, and your stories and the explanations that you've given us today have really been, it sounds like, about you as well as the people that you coach. And as you were telling and bragging on Sara taking those great steps, that was you coaching her. And I think that the process that you have and your authenticity and the way that you coach is what business owners really need. They need to have that person on their side and helping them and guiding them through unusual times like we're in. And it sounds like you've been doing wonderful things with them and guiding them in the way that they need.
Well, and also, Marcia, because you do some coaching and consulting yourself, what I like for the public to know is when you hire a business coach or a consultant, you're not, you're going to get some instant gratification and some instant success, but it's a period of time that you build up. You've got to build that firm foundation. I have a client, Jill, who's in the direct selling industry, and direct selling can be anything from Melaleuca to Amway to essential oils, whatever. Building a team. And, it takes several years to build those relationships and build a team and make sure that you build a firm foundation with that team. And what I love now, like for Jill, is we have sales conversations maybe almost every day. She'll role play a sales conversation. So she'll say, "Do you have 5 minutes so that I can role play the sales conversation? This is the situation." And then we role play it out. And then she'll do a Zoom call with them on this, and she'll call back and got another one signed up, and you have to be very proactive and creative with that and allow yourself time, that it's not an overnight success. And you're going to hear people say that I'm going to make you $10,000 in 30 days and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you should be making money right away. But again, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Yes. So true. So true. And anything that we add into our business and build on our business is designed to improve it over the lifetime and improve the direction that we want to go. So we've been talking a lot about the coaching and consulting business side of what business owners need. We had Sara on. It looks like we lost her for a little while due to technical issues.
She sent a text and said that her internet just went down. We've got a few storms in the area, so we'll see.
We'll see if we can get her back on. And then Sara's been wonderful in talking to us about the financial side and the accounting and tax opportunities and really understanding your numbers. So this has been some really great conversations about highlighting you two ladies and how amazing you are with your businesses and the impact that you have. So speaking of impact, I'd like to change directions a little bit and talk about your organization, because it sounds like you two ladies embody this organization with everything that you do in your businesses as well. So if I understand this correctly, you and Sara are both co-founders of the Women of Community Impact. And I would love listeners to hear a little bit more about what it is, and then we'll go into a little bit about why you did it.
Absolutely, Marcia. First of all, I'd like to say a couple more things about Sara Poe and Poe's Accounting Services. I met Sara at a networking event back in 2013 called the Heart of Gwinnett. And it's a networking group locally in our county here. And Rodney Cameron did a phenomenal job in the community bringing this networking group together. We lost Rodney a couple of years ago. He passed away. But anyway, Sara and I met there, and Sara became my very first client in Atlanta. But we were working together, and she was a part of the board with Heart of Gwinnett. And after my first year, they asked me to come on board as a board member. And so Sara and I served together back in 2013, 14, and 15 with Heart of Gwinnett. And we did some amazing things with a wonderful group of people that we just really love and cherish. We raised money for children with cancer. We've raised money for a neonatal unit and just did amazing things. And we went on to have an opportunity in 2016 to be a part of another networking group. And Sara was one of the executive committee members. And so we have sort of just been serving in the community from day one. And when we started in 2016, the very first year, everybody said, Celeste, you need to have your own networking group. And I said, no, I'm really happy where I'm at, because I'm not one to really change with, when I'm happy and things are going good, I'm going to be your most loyal person until you do me wrong. And so
keep with the winning horse, right?
That's right. Exactly. And so, and loved what we did. We served, we had some great executive committee members and things of this nature, but people just kept saying, Celeste, we really wish you would have your own nonprofit. We wish you would have your own nonprofit. And so, it just came time last year that Sara and we just kept talking, and Sara said she went through some things, and I guess, Sara, it's okay with the breast cancer. And so Sara had to take a little bit of a leave of absence. And so she said, I'm really done. And I said, well, I'm not done. I said, I'm not letting you be done. I said, we're going to go ahead and form our own nonprofit. And so we came together and we formed Women of Community Impact. And it's really all about the community. It's not about us. It's not about our businesses. Mm-hmm. It's about who we can serve in our community. It's not about self-promoting. We have a networking group, and with COVID, we've had to turn it into Zoom meetings, and we just launched it this year. But our passion has just been in giving back to our community. We've met so many wonderful people through our service, through Heart of Gwinnett and other, Tequila Business Associations, many other organizations that Sara and I have been a part of. And now we have Women of Community Impact with over 200 members, and we love it. So I'll let Sara talk some about it, but I am just honored and privileged that her and I are the co-founders. We have an amazing board and building an executive team for some huge things in 2021. And we've got a lot of huge things going on for Thanksgiving and Christmas that we're going to do in our community as well. We've already got that planned.
So Sara, Celeste has been telling me about the history of the Women of Community Impact. And so why don't you tell me a little bit about not the why so much, but the what the community of women, or the Women of Community Impact, represents? What does that represent to the community?
Helping those women and children, because 9 times out of 10 it's women and children, whether it be cancer, homelessness, sex abuse, knowing that somebody's there for them and have not given up. Because I understand the wanting to give up during a battle with cancer or whatever, but knowing there's somebody out there who doesn't want you to give up is the biggest thing. That is the wonder in my eyes to see the kids. And it's not necessarily the kid who has cancer that needs some physical help. It could be the brother or sister, because the kid with cancer is getting all the attention. This kid may just need a hug or a candy bar or something along those lines, and we can pay attention to them as much as we pay attention to the kid with the cancer.
Gotcha.
Because that breaks your heart no matter what. Exactly. But then when the other one's just sitting there to the side, and it's just heartbreaking.
Nice. So how do you find the people that need your services? Where are you going to find them?
Well, Bobby Minnick with Beyond the Ribbon, she's affiliated with Gwinnett Medical or Northside, and so she has lots of opportunities there, and she does quite a few events. Maureen at the Hope House, where families can go and when they're in transition. You get to know people in the community, and we don't do huge projects. We do a lot of little projects. During COVID, we collected items for washing clothes and soap and washing your hair for the homeless, because they still need items. But we, like Lisa Patterson with Table Ministries, that's her focus. So you get to know different people in the community because they come and support you, and then you support them. It's just,
I think a lot of little things make a whole lot more difference than one big thing. So I love that. Okay.
Well, I would like to play off of that one question there, Marcia.
Mm-hmm.
As Sara was saying, how we became so involved in the community is through networking with a lot of these people, where we were networking and having monthly meetings on a monthly basis. And we became involved and we met people and what they did. We built the relationships. We went to see them. We went to visit their organizations. And then we came back together as committee members of how we can help and bring this together. And when you build relationships with them, when it comes from the heart, it goes to the heart. And that's one thing that Sara and I have always done with the heart of Gwinnett. I mean, but there's that heart again, right, Sara? Is that we were very passionate about helping make our community a better place, making a difference in our community. And we did that through not promoting ourselves, but in helping other people and coming together as a group of people in collaboration and camaraderie to do something bigger than ourselves. And we never, ever had a problem to say, like this year, we didn't, COVID hit and we didn't even launch our business with an in-person networking event. We just picked the phone up and we said, you know what, it's Easter. Maureen over there at Home of Hope, we said, let's provide an Easter meal for the women and children over at Home of Hope. We did this less than a week before Easter between Sara and the people in our committee and our group, picking up the phone, reaching out, and we had a meal over there. We also had Starbucks donate a breakfast for them for Easter Sunday. And then, like she said, we built relationships with other nonprofits that came together. Bobby Minnick with Beyond the Ribbon did some goodie bags, her team did. And then Lisa Patterson, as she said, with the personal hygiene items, put some things together. And people just want to be involved with helping something bigger than themselves, because what starts out wrong ends up wrong. What starts out right ends up right. And we've always started out right in serving. Is that true, Sara?
Yeah.
Wow. What an impact. And, finding an organization that you can get behind that has the values that you guys have is really the right direction. Excuse me. So what are your values? What are you looking for when you're talking to these people?
A servant heart, somebody who doesn't just think about themselves, but is willing to give of themselves.
Because not the people in your community, the people that you're serving. What gives them the opportunity for you to serve them?
It's their time. It's their time to be served. We all have our times to be served. And asking for help is one of the hardest things that people can do, because I've been there and had to ask. And you don't make them feel guilty for having to ask.
Of course not. Humanity is so important.
Right.
Well, and the other thing is, Marcia, is Sara and I have noticed in the last couple of years, we have become very, very good friends with some other nonprofit organizations. She mentioned Bobby Minnick with Beyond the Ribbon, Lisa Patterson with Table Ministries. We have Tanya with, I forget what it's called up there and coming. I apologize, Tanya. But we met some amazing people that are helping and giving back. They're nonprofits. And they would always come to Sara and I because they would attend our events, our workshops, and things of this nature. And so I told Sara last year, I said, we need to create a workshop for nonprofits to help them. And we had our first workshop in March, and we had over 20-something people at this workshop that were nonprofits and helping them.
So it sounds like you're not actually going out and finding the needy people, however you may stumble across them. You're actually finding the nonprofits that are helping the needy people.
Correct.
Is that my, okay.
Absolutely.
So that's where I was trying to figure out where you're finding these people and how you can do it. So by teaming up with the nonprofits, you're getting stackable opportunities to help. It's not just everything on your back, it's their back as well. And you're helping to lift the load off of them. So that sounds great. What are the fundraising ways that you guys are out there finding help for these organizations?
Well, right now we are raising $2,400 for meals for Haitians, right?
Okay.
Then those meals will be packed the day before Thanksgiving or 2 days before Thanksgiving. And then those meals will be sent down to them. So right now we're trying to raise that money. We have a goal. And I ask my clients, I just ask anybody. We've got links out on our web pages. I mean, not web pages, but our Facebook and social media. And, if it just takes 12 people to give $100 and you're halfway there, right? You're halfway there. So it's just a matter of getting little bits at a time. And people this time of year are always more willing to help because they're being thankful for what they have and happy, and they want to be able to give back.
And one thing that I'd like to say, what Sara said, Marcia, is we were introduced. Again, here's this building those relationships, and who do you know and who can you help and serve? We were introduced to Linda Gunter with Love Him, Love Them through a mutual friend, Araya McGarry, who is also, we've served with her in many nonprofits, she has a nonprofit. She's been a guest on our radio show. And so she introduced us to Linda Gunter as a guest on WCEG Talk Radio. We've had her on here twice. And she's doing amazing things, in the Haitian community. She has a school, she has a hospital. But anyway, she shared some things with us, and we said, you know what, we're going to be involved, we're going to help, and we're going to serve during Thanksgiving. And we normally serve a Thanksgiving meal to one of the women and children's shelters, and we probably, might still be able to work that out here. I know that we're definitely going to do breakfast for a homeless shelter for Thanksgiving. But we got involved with her. And so we've had her on a show 2 weeks ago, one of our monthly Zoom calls for Women of Community Impact. And we had Shannon coming on talking to us about social media. And I said, Linda, I want you to come on, give us a little brief overview of their Thanksgiving project, because we're going to serve you, during Thanksgiving. And so she came on. Now, here again, we haven't done a lot of Zoom calls. We've been very under the radar this year with the COVID. We've had a couple of Zoom meetings. And so we put a meeting out with less than a week's notice, and we had some amazing people that showed up to this online Zoom meeting about 10 days ago. And some of them were first time that they've really attended our Women of Community Impact, but they've been friends of ours for years. They had their own nonprofits and organizations. And we happened to have one lady that came on, Adeline, I said her name right, Adeline Dryden, and she's an accountant and bookkeeper, and she happens to be from Haiti. And we always believe, you believe whatever you want. When I talk belief, I talk about God. God lines people up for all the right people in all the right times. And he lined the people up and lined her up. And she's got a big event coming up. And she heard what we were doing, and it touched her heart, brought tears to her eyes. And we made a commitment. And she says, we're going to commit. We Rock will commit to $1,200, because she was passionate coming from that. So that was half of it. And we didn't even expect that. And so
what a surprise.
So again, it touched people's heart, and she came on board with that. And then what we wanted to do in talking to Linda, Sara and I went and met with Linda this past week. And so we learned more about it and the meals that they prepare, 13,000 meals. And 10,000 of these meals they're shipping over to Haiti, these boxes, and then they're serving in the local community, our local community, 3,000 people prepared meals for Thanksgiving. So Bobby Minnick, she works with the hospital system here. She is very close to a lot of women who are diagnosed with cancer or going through cancer situations. Some of them are single parents, right, Sara? Yeah. Some of them are married, some of them are single, and some of them are having hardships. Some of them even live in an extended stay place during the COVID. They've lost a job or lost a home. And so what we decided is that we are going to deliver the meals to these 20 families for Thanksgiving through Beyond the Ribbon. You want to comment on that, Sara?
being a part of that community, I'm a lucky one, right? I've been very fortunate. I've had it twice. It was both times called early. I had a great support system. Not everybody has that. And the emotional toll that it takes on you and your family can be heartbreaking. And sometimes just somebody saying, I'm going to bring your family some meals on Thanksgiving so you can rest and relax and not have to worry about where the food's going to come from, how you're going to get it cooked. You're in a chemo fog. You can't think about it. They can rest and relax on that day and knowing that somebody's going to be bringing them food, and they can still enjoy the day.
It's just the little things.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the money that we're raising is going to go for a box of rice and beans, and it feeds 242 meals to Haitian children.
Wow.
And so we committed to 2,400, that's 80 boxes. So you do the math on that of how many children in Haiti, orphan children, that's going to feed. And again, we're also going to give in the local community to the people with the cancer, diagnosed with the cancer. And as Sara said, you're going through chemotherapy, this or that, maybe you don't feel like cooking, the spouse is having to deal with the children, and, there's just all kinds of variables. So that was an opportunity to do that. And so when we met with Linda, we also said, well, you know what, here's another opportunity. Sara says, Celeste, every time you talk, it means work. I said, Linda says, on Wednesday before the Thanksgiving meal, we're going to be boxing these rice and beans, and they decorate the boxes to send to Haiti. They have a container that they ship over there. I said, what a great family and youth initiative that we can do for those that want to volunteer. Now, I understand we're in COVID-19. We're going to practice all the CDC guidelines. I said, but again, there's many families out there that are willing to participate, individuals as well as families that want to bring their children. And then we're practicing CDC guidelines. We'll be wearing masks and doing everything that they get to teach their children about giving and serving, because that's our future generation. We have to start there. And so, we put a post out today, and we've got emails and posts. We're in 1 to 3 for us, 3 to 5 for us, count 6 here, 5 here, 10 here. We have an amazing amount of people that want to volunteer and serve, for that. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, and to circle back, it sounds like that it's all done through your networking and building relationships, that you two came together, and the people that you're helping came to you, and now the people that are helping you serve them came to you through networking. And it sounds like that is the magic that you two bring to the women of community impact, is how can we as a community create impact in the world? And I love that.
Absolutely. And we're so passionate, excited. We love it. We love seeing the children and the women. Whether we're at Home of Hope with the women and children and serving them a beautiful meal on fine linen tablecloths and napkins, or we're over here.
Box and beans and rice.
Box and beans and rice, exactly. And praying for these people. It's all about giving and serving and giving back. And everybody likes to be a part of that. And, to circle back around, Marcia, as a business coach, that's one of the things that I am very instrumental in all of my clients, is being actively involved in your community. Your business, people like to do business with people who serve and give back in the community.
Great point. Great point. And that in many folds can be a really good opportunity for businesses to get great PR. They can do good, and they can teach other families and employees and children how to do good as well. So there's a win-win-win type philosophy in giving this way. Love it. Love it. So what are some of the other events that you have coming up that you are doing? You mentioned a lot around Thanksgiving, which is right around the corner, but what else you got going on?
So we're going to be providing goodie bags for Beyond the Ribbons, they do Christmas for cancer families. So we're going to do the goodie bags for that. And we're going to help wrap presents for that. Those are the two things I can think off the top of my head.
Yeah, exactly. We're still working on our Christmas project. Last year, what we did is we went to Home of Hope with the Women and Children's Shelter, and something that in a women and children's shelter, a lot of times at Christmas time, a lot of businesses and organizations are, and it's all good, is all about giving presents to the children, and that's important. But a few years ago, we said, what about the women and the mothers? And so we provided pajamas and robes last year, for them, and cooked a Christmas dinner meal for them. We had a great opportunity through WCEG Talk Radio to have Melanie Connor with Rainbow Village as our guest last month. And one of the things is a little bit different. They help the homeless people, or the people that are having difficulties with having their own place. They house families. They have apartments, and it's a whole family unit. It's not just women and children. It could be a spouse involved there. It could be a grandparent raising a child or whatever, but they have 32 apartments. And so we're working with them to provide a program that we'll be doing with them. And a lot of the things is a food drive, so we're going to be collecting food even for Thanksgiving, for some different organizations. So we're starting to dribble and drip the campaign each day right now. It's coming out something new every day, and you're just going to be seeing that as it does. But we can all, there's just so much we can do, Marcia. I mean, I just get so excited, and so does Sarah, because it's not about what I do. It's what we do to collectively together in collaboration and camaraderie, and people just get involved. And I mean, when we first announced this a couple of weeks ago, our private message just burned up with, I'm not going to be here Thanksgiving, but put me down, send me the link. We're donating money. Tell me what you need, or what we're there. I mean, we just have that opportunity and those relationships in the community with business people, that we just pick the phone up. If I walk into Starbucks and, they say, oh, Celeste, who are we helping today? I said, I need breakfast for this group, no problem. We've got you down, and we just have many organizations and individuals like that no questions asked. How can we help? How can we serve? And that's what we love. That's what we love about Women in Community Impact and the members that we have.
And now more than ever, with the COVID situation, that we're just we're not even out of the woods yet. I could pretend that we're coming towards the end, but here in California, we've improved greatly, and now we're starting to see some little moves. As the cold weather comes in, we don't know where this is going to go. So now more than ever, people, whether they're in this community, that community, this race, that race, this political version or that political version, everybody needs help. And, it doesn't take a lot of money. Sometimes it takes just some time. And I'm so proud of you ladies by putting this whole thing together, and then using your resources of connections and ability to gather and bring people together to make a community impact in this world. So this is a wonderful thing that you all are doing, and I'm so proud to be able to talk about this today. So tell us where people can donate and give to this great cause, whether it's time or food donations or money or connections with other organizations that can help. Where can people reach you?
Sarah, you want the PayPal link, please?
The donations, we have a PayPal link. The Women of Global Change.
No, Women of Community Impact.
Yeah, Women of Community Impact. But we have a PayPal link. It's a paypal.me Women Impact. So you can go there and you can donate. Today I tried to donate money. It said you can't donate money to yourself because I was the one that set it up. So it's got my name, like that idea. Email. It's like, oh, okay. I have to give somebody else some money and let them do it. But we can always use canned foods. I've got an office here in Tequila, Georgia that people can bring, or they can email us. They can go to our Facebook pages. They can go different places, and all that information is out there. We have events, and it shows what we're doing and what we need.
So they can basically go to Facebook and then go to Women of Community Impact in the search engine, and they should be able to find your group there, correct?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent.
Absolutely. Or like she said, any of our personal pages, Sara Poe or Celeste Giordano, our business pages, we support that as well, that they will see a link or something, where they can help. And the canned food drive, we're going to start in the drip campaign. We'll have the locations where you can drop canned goods out. Some of the cancer families are able to cook their own meals, and so we're going to deliver some canned goods and turkeys to them. And then we're also, the surplus that we have, we're going to be taking over to Rainbow Village for those families over there to that they can share with the people at the Rainbow Village.
Excellent. Love it. All right, so we got a few more minutes left here. We've spoken about two amazing women in their own business. We've spoken about two amazing women, those same amazing women, in the community impact that they're doing. What else do we need to know about Celeste Giordano before we wrap the show up? What do you want? What's your final parting?
I want people today and throughout the next coming weeks to realize things are going to be okay, but to be thinking of how you can help and serve other people. Because when you serve other people, it comes back as a blessing, sometimes more to you. And so I want people to know that serving, for 35 years as a franchise owner, you heard me talk earlier, I opened with opportunity, recognition, and money. That's what I recruited on, opportunity, recognition, and money. For 35 years, I didn't serve. I could have served, but I didn't know what I know today about serving, Marcia. And so today, my passion is, it's about serving, opportunity, recognizing other people, and money is the byproduct, whether it's for your own business or it's for your nonprofit and helping and serving others.
Love it. Well said. Very well said. All right, Sara, what's your final parting conversation that you'd like to leave listeners with about you, about the organization?
The sun will come up tomorrow. Everything will be okay. Just be kind to one another. I mean, I love all people. I don't care what your politics are or your persuasions, all that. We just got to love one another and be kind.
True. So true words. And in a time that is needed, we've got to accept and be kind and serve. I love this. I love the messages that you ladies have brought to us today. So if I understand correctly, this is going to be the final episode for this year, because you're going to be busy serving and doing and wrapping up the tax year. So I have been completely honored to be part of this last show and to highlight you two beautiful ladies and the impact that you bring in. I'll let you guys take it down from here.
Well, thank you, Marcia, so much. Yes, this is our last show for 2020. WCEG is going to be on hiatus till the first of the year. Sara and I, our first for-profit show will be January 12th, 2021. That'll be our next show date. And we look forward to having some amazing guests, as we've already had this year since May and 2021. And we look forward to having you back, Marcia, but we're not going to let you get off that easy that you don't get to share a little bit about yourself here tonight. I know that we're closing this down, but again, I don't think you mentioned how people can listen to your podcast. I'd just love for you to tell a little bit about your company and you, because they're going to remember us. We spoke for an hour and a half. I want them to know more about you as well, because if it wasn't for you, this wouldn't have happened.
Oh, you're so kind. Well, I did introduce myself a little bit in the beginning, but again, I'm Marcia Riner. I am a profit and business strategist with Trajectory Consulting. You can reach Trajectory Consulting at trajectorybiz, that's biz.com. You can always I've got some great tips at 6 tips how to survive and thrive in this season. These are really valuable things that you can put into your business right now that's going to turn things around for you. And you can pick those up at failproofbiz.com. You can hit me up on any of the social medias. It's Marcia Riner, MarciaRiner, or Trajectory Biz Consulting on any Facebook or LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you. I too am a giver. I'm a giver of knowledge and support in any way I can. So if you have any questions, there's always an opportunity to jump on a call to help you do some strategies that can impact your business. And then I'm a great referral source. So these ladies are always in my wheelhouse. So there
Absolutely.
I am.
Your
Profit
podcast.
with a Plan. Profit with a Plan is again on every Tuesday. It's up on YouTube at Profit with a Plan, or you can go to profitwithaplan.com and hear the podcast there. So thanks, ladies. This was all about you. I'm just the talking head. I'm the interviewer today.
But Marcia, I remember after you were a guest on our show here at WCEG Network, I remember you and I having a conversation, and the first thing you said is, you need to be interviewed. You guys need to be interviewed, and I would love to be that one. And we couldn't have had a more kinder, gentle, loving person like yourself to interview us today. It's been a pleasure. And it's always a pleasure to have you as a guest, as well as your education and knowledge. You are a wealth of knowledge. You're a giver, you're a teacher, and you're an educator, you're a motivator. So thank you so much for your time today, and anything that we can do to help you, we appreciate you. Also, we would also like to thank WCEG Network, Penny Rogers, her board of directors, her executive committees, for reaching out to us back in May, and really it was in April, about the show. Penny, I met Penny 4 years ago as a guest on her show, and she said, Celeste, I've been wanting to do a global and wealth building show, and she wanted me to host that, and it just didn't come to fruition during the time. The timing wasn't right. And then she reached out in April, and then here we are. And it's hard to believe that we started in May and we're ending here in November. And we've had some amazing guests like Marcia Riner and many nonprofits. And we are just getting started for 2021, because it's going to be just a wonderful year. It's going to be a blessed year where we educate and motivate and teach people how to serve and give back in the community. Sara, any other closing comments?
Thank you to everybody for being here with us this year. It's been a blast. I learned something new every time. Thank you, Penny and WCEG, and Marcia. It was a pleasure. You do a great job.
Thank you. Pleasure was mine, ladies.
Yes, and happy Thanksgiving. And again, count your blessings, and we all have so many blessings to be thankful. And biggest blessing is thank you for your friendship and love. We love you. All right, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.